How's it going? It's Man Tomorrow here. Could y'all like the video I'm all coming in? So that way we can start talking about this topic. So that way we can be on the same page about. I'm formulating a plan right now called the Same Page Initiative. So that way the people who actually do want to move forward can, and the people who don't want to move forward obviously won't. So that way you could be able to distinguish who's actually doing something versus who's doing nothing. But I'm just going to explain this actual problem for this lady here who don't understand shit. It's not a problem. It's just that you have a lot of people who actually think that they're good women or whatever, but they're just good in relative to all the other people that are there within the environment. And it's going to be a pretty clear way of how you separate the women who are worth it from the women who are not worth it. So, because everybody wants to give cover to the women actually within the environment itself, because everybody's there to just feed off the women. That's all they want to do anyway. So hold on a second here. Put my phone on mute so that way we can get this under control. There we go. Because a plan of action is what's actually needed right now. Yeah. So all right, here's the thing, man. I'm gonna address her comments. Let me pull up her email so that way I can summarize it. You know how it is, man. When you get these women who email you, they email you this long single space diatribe of stuff. So let me just summarize what's going on. All right. So, all right. So, this one thing I don't allow women to do. The first thing is they want to come to the conversation and act like things are so bad. Let's move on to solutions. Like, first and foremost, we're not moving to solutions until we accurately understand the problem. The problem is the deliberate abuse of choice, the deliberate, come on, Panther God, the deliberate misunderstanding of your actual reproductive faculties, the fact that you would intentionally keep it away from men to make them actually be more dedicated to this concept called the black family than you ever were. And that's how that worked. That's how we got to where we got to. I mean, we have 70 years of data, 70 years, 1970 to 2020. This is not about, um, like I said, like there's a lot of subcultures that has popped up that actually protects the actual status quo within the situation itself. What's wrong, JD Worker? It's like, you had the whole subculture that was pretty much formulated around making men accept women's irresponsibility inside the actual environment called the female nature bullshit. Actually, grown ass men teaching you how to compromise with people who don't need additional choices. And the only reason why they wanted to believe in this female nature bullshit in the first place was that being with this person was always at the end of the day. This is what got first of all. Doing her because she buying in onto the black family shit. stupid shit that people believe in. So for me, I just have to keep it real with women. Like, don't come to me acting like you don't know how the fuck we got here. And if they can't admit how we actually got here, then the conversation is pretty much over. But you have to realize that most people don't want to acknowledge the truth and the fact of the matter of how we got here. The form of cancer, once it metastasizes, understand the metastasize or the metastasis of, you know, the porch their house, thinking they're entertainment entrepreneurs all of a sudden. As Zero call them, mixtape niggas. Yeah. So what you have to realize is that there's a lot of mismanagement that led to this specific point. And she deliberately not wanted to see it because she thought she was good. Yeah, I'm driving through St. Louis right now. Hold on a second. Apparently the hold on a second. And why the hell there ain't no exit? I haven't driven cross country in a car in a while. So hold on a second. There we go. Lots of bars. All right. Okay. All right, there we go. Y'all should be able to hear me now. So it's like, look, when things are this bad, the solution is simple. You have to walk from the actual bad results back to the creation process itself. And what you have to recognize at this point is that you can't solve the problem with the actual people who started the problem in the first place. You can't solve the problem with the people who aided and abetted the problems in the first place. You can't allow the entertainment class to actually think that they're going to be given solutions within a space like this when the problem is just as big. You cannot even allow people to even BS themselves on no level to actually do this shit. Because the solution is actually pretty simple. And the solution is something that a lot of people are not comfortable with. The solution is that you have to have a better outcome, not them. Because a woman had infinite choice. She could have chose a better outcome whenever she wanted to. Like 30 some years old with a couple of kids ain't the time to be trying to learn how to respect productive men. That's the wrong time. That time should have been done between the ages of like 7 through, I don't know, before you graduated high school. So the only thing you could do now at this particular point is you have to give men the same type of choice across the board. You have to give them the same unrestricted access to happiness because we tried it in the opposite direction. We tried the EYSBW thing. We tried that. It didn't work. 50 years, two generations. It didn't work. So when you speak to women and they don't even want to acknowledge these baseline bare bones things, it's just that they've been survived. They've been able to survive in that I'm Keisha, not enough, and that's kind of where you're dealing with these things at, because this stuff is psychologically damaging for people to actually intake where we are. That's the thing. It's very hard for people to understand where we are. Dude, even responding to like celebrity black women, man, it make you look crazy, man. I'm not looking at that shit. That woman had infinite choice in black men too. Oh yeah, she had a shot at Drake. She had a shot at a lot of dudes. Yeah, so I'm not even worried about her. But like I said, from this point, you got to worry about getting yourself straight, man. The only way to correct this thing is that way you have a good ending. Remember, we got here by individual, household by household basis, and it's going to be fixed on a household by household basis. You can't let the hangout boys come here and fill you with comfort to the point where you're not even focusing on the primary reason why you came here in the first place. Because you didn't come here to hang out. That's clear. You can hang out. That's a choice. But at some point, this stuff is going to have to go from me telling you this stuff to you actually doing some of this stuff. Yeah, I should be done with my book by the end of June, talking about the SYSBM guide to actual self improvement. So I will go over that there because a lot of people need to understand how easy self improvement is and how easy it is to pitch it away to people who don't respect it. It's very easy. Like like I told her, man, I get it. I get it. It's a bad position. You know how bad it is. Nearly every place you go, everybody wants to ignore it. I mean, you got older people ignoring it too. Last time I went back home, you had just older people sitting outside while their younger dudes were just playing trap music and shit, looking lost. Like, how did it come to this? Like, once you start protecting weak people, once you start helping ineffective people, and you neglect the hell out of the people who actually need the actual assistance to move ahead, you just saw the problem right back into itself. And we've done this for two generations now. 50 years of data showed exactly where we are today. The neglect of the actual black boy, no thanks to the actual choosing process of the woman. Now you have to be able to choose a lot for yourself on a one to one basis. So that way you don't end up being a statistic out here. And you have to get that they come in with these kind of cagey tactics to try to test and see where you are whenever they are trying to quote unquote have a conversation about being honest. They always try these tactics of trying to see how much they can BS you when they're talking about this topic. Me, I really don't give a damn about their opinion, so I could just say what I need to say and move on. But they always try to come in with this type of protective silence for the things that have went on inside of the environment itself. Yeah, I've seen it too. Shit, shit. Go to the west end of Louisville, or go to Cincinnati, or go to St. Louis that I just left yesterday. Yeah, not hard, not hard at all. Just take a walk of the downtown area. I'm not talking about the areas that they built up. I'm talking about like more of the poorer neighborhoods and stuff. And man, you would see that. And it's like we can't even have a straightforward conversation that has action associated with it because everybody's trying to fill each other out to see how far people would go to actually change things. For me, I just started with myself. Individual outcomes. Very easy to see, very easy to look at, very easy to judge. That's the first thing. I started with myself. Then I had to put myself in a better environment by leaving people out of my life that wasn't going to be bringing any value to my life. That's the second thing. Unbeknownst to me, I put myself in far different environments. I was able to have some success. I knew what actual true competition was. I found out how good I wasn't at things. I lost a lot of things. I gained even more things. And yeah, I had to be realistic about things. But that's the process of growth. But we're trying to fix the right problem the wrong way, though. We're trying to fix the problem by sacrificing the 2% of guys who are actually productive within the environment at the expense of the 98% of the guys who are not. And that's how we're trying to fix things. We're trying to fix things by leaving pro blacks in place. We're trying to fix things by leaving ineffectual adults in place. We're trying to fix things by leaving bad leadership in place. We're trying to fix all of these things by leaving everything in place that started up all this stuff in the first place. And they wonder why it don't work. Because it's not meant to work. It was never meant to work this way. This is why you got to have your results be actually compared to other people who have similar results inside the same environment. So no matter how big the actual problem is, JR, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. You're trying to still use people of the same exact system that you should be staying away from to be part of the solution. You can't do that. Not at this point. Remember, you say you live in Mexico and you have a online business. So your actual fixing solution was SYSMM. Save yourself Latino, well, Mexican or Latino man. That's what you did. You went to a better group of people. You didn't try to change shit over here, and you got a very good result. So trying to change all that stuff, that's once you have people who understand the political environment, which people actually go out and actually do everything they can to information launder around the political environment or try to discourage people from actually engaging inside of the political environment. You got people who won't even pick up basic news stories and cover them because they can't be connected to the culture war. So all that stuff is stuff that's way later in the future. That's not a good place to start. No, I mean, like, no, it's kind of like Zero said, man. Don't believe any woman until she's willing to put some legislation on the table. Because we kind of made it too easy to give lip service within this space without any type of follow through when it comes to policies. Because women, on the most part, are not going to fight other women, and they're not going to take away power from their actual group. They're going to want the same rights and privileges that the other women are abusing, except for when it's actually convenient for them. Yeah. So the next part of the solution and plan is to build a new paradigm. You got to build a new paradigm by yourself when it comes to skills and abilities, man. Because no matter where you are, skills and abilities are going to be able to take you far no matter what environment that you're in. You're not going to be able to sell victimhood in this type of environment in another. Because in other environments, they got real things to worry about. Real things to worry about. That's they don't even have first world problems to complain about yet. But that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I go to Mexico a lot. I haven't been there probably about 6 or 8 months, but I go there a lot. Pretty decent people there. I mean, they have to be decent because the environment forces them to be. So back to this other thing. You got to stop trying to define yourself through other people's mistakes. I know a lot of people think that making these mistakes make them a man and making it look like you're actually successful within an environment to where even celebrities are failing. It's complete nonsense. That's what I'm gonna talk about tonight. What grifters are and what grifters are not. Because a lot of people think that the hangout dudes are actually grifters. They're not grifters. They don't have an ability to misstate truth because they're not operating from truth. They're operating from just simply hanging out. So after the skills and abilities portion, now you got to operate in a new environment that actually protects you, even if you have to build it. You have to deal with a different culture of people. Because see, culture is supposed to be handed down from one generation to another. The only culture that's been handed down to my generation and what our generation was able to hand down to those people was a sliding scale where just they just got more and more power that they didn't ask for that they just kept getting. This is why you got to operate outside of this environment. Because once you start operating outside of this environment where these people control are the primary focus of the reason why you're operating, that's when your personality resets. That's when you can start thinking straight. This is where you can just come through with the actual idea that you don't have to run it through the sexual compromise thought process. You don't have to do if bitch else. You don't have to think like that. You don't. That's why all these other complex things we don't even need to be focused on, nor even need to be worried about. Because if people can't have the frame of mind to even be basically productive, what we look like talking about policy? Because the policy is going to be their policy talk is going to be turned around spreading ignorance and actually trying to make it look like the circumstance that they repeatedly put themselves in is an actual stated goal of actual importance when it actually isn't. Because once you start working toward real tangible solutions, you can see the pathways and the track record of people who's not working toward any of that stuff at all. It's very easy to see. But as long as you ain't got the peace compromise working inside your head, like you got to work with these people. Like, no, you got to create a better system, and you got to run that system, and you got to run these people out of it. You was never supposed to be compromising this much for basic results, man. You were never supposed to be doing that, even though that is what has been taught. Sexual compromise is the reason why most people do anything. I tried to go over that last night on the Prophet of Thought series channel. Like these problems are pretty simple, and it's pretty easy to solve, but you have to do it on a one-to-one basis. Then you have to not give it back to the people who never respected it in the first place. Now, all that stuff sounds simple, but when you get to the practicality portion of it, because the churn rate in black America is like 98, 99%, especially when it comes to people independently and individually operating outside of the actual stranglehold of the black monolith, yeah, it's that high. And most of these people carry this dead weight around them their entire lives. They want to make that portion of their lives work because that portion of their lives is tied to the actual woman that they're going to end up being with, short or even long term. It's how much compromise that they can show to the current system. Like I said, you're thinking way past it, JR. These dudes don't want to do that. They want to talk about and interact with this person until she gives up her power, which isn't going to happen. You'll be able to get movement on everything else but feminism. So that's why you have to just choose different people. Don't even bother trying to negotiate people who have been given infinite choice. You can just work alongside of other issues and just don't even work towards that. It's kind of like I don't go to a conservative person trying to talk about police issues. I know what conservatives think on police issues. So we just work on other things that doesn't have those type of things because people have their dug in positions. In the dug in position, oh yeah, oh yeah. All you gotta do is look at the women who they attract. It's very easy. I think that we're wasting a lot of time thinking that these people are waiting like there was a grand lie that there was going to be all these budget cuts and these people were going to come running back to the table. Like, why would they run back to the table? They're not going to suffer the budget cuts you think they're going to suffer. You think General Mills, Quaker Oats, Post, Walmart, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Target, Weiss, Publix, that's where all the money for welfare gets spent at. It gets spent in actual places. So the actual thing that you thought that was going to bring them back to the table was never going to happen because most of the dominant number of people in society, they wasn't even fighting for that on their side. They were never fighting for cuts to any of that stuff. They thought that that stuff was their American rights. Yeah, Safeway, Kroger, yeah, here King Supers, which is owned by Kroger. Yeah, yeah. And you got people stuck in low wage jobs arguing about certain people ain't worth $15 an hour. You don't see CEOs doing that type of stuff. You don't see CEOs of like fast food companies going after CEOs of like other companies. They understand how to work together as a group. It's just that the people at the bottom don't know how to work together as a group because that's where the numbers are for the most part. Yeah, exactly. But see, you got to be smart enough not to play black pill Ned Start. Like, like you got to be smart enough not to play before it's even your chance to start playing. Because, like I said yesterday on the Prophet of Thought series channel for the interview, most things that people do within the black environment is for women or for clout that leads to even more women. Period. That's why they do things. Or it's based on money based things, which they have to go produce for to spend it on situation that is not their responsibility, that they're trying to protect their self esteem over. It's nuts. But that's where we're at though. So at this point in time, the whole system is laid bare, really laid bare for people to see. And right now, it is clearly an option of whether or not you want to solve it or not. So it's not about even voting. It's not about even doing any of that stuff. It's about having skills and abilities, being productive, leaving leaving his counterpart alone, finding a new system to deal with, get around better people, and actually execute. At this point, that is literally how simple it is right now. I don't want to wait till you 30 something, 40 something years old to get that. Even though that's where a lot of people are right now. Because there just wasn't enough good examples around because nobody wanted those examples of decent, hardworking people because that's just not what the actual counterpart wanted. They didn't want to see the power of that. They didn't want to see the success of that. And therefore, the men didn't actually gravitate toward that. And that's why these things are just vitally important. It's vitally important to move on. Like the great thing about moving on is that you're going to see a lot of things fall to the wayside, man. A lot of things fall to the wayside. You didn't lose anything by not playing. You only gained better access and chances by not playing. I know people who've been married because the actual culture prepared the woman for marriage, and there's infinite levels of consequence if she don't hold up her end of the bargain, or if the man don't hold up their end of the bargain. If we had a system like that was actually created, which you can create by yourself, imagine how much more time we could spend on fixing all these other things, rather than worrying about what BLM is doing. If most people just got productive and spent like $5 a year on an actual lobbying firm that only focused on our issues, just so long as it ties into all other issues other places, so that way we can get like some broad level of support based around productivity. That's very easy to do. Very easy to do. It's going on our business too. Yeah, but that's where we at right now. We got to move, man. And it's okay that the entertainment and the hangout guys are here, but at the end of the day, man, you still got to make that individual progress in your own life, man. And there's no clear excuse for ending up with uncultured Keisha at the end of the day, man. That stuff's crazy. There's clearly no excuse for even dealing with, interacting with, none of them. You got to go somewhere else, man, because you're the person who's keeping this stuff going. So let me get back to this lady and her email. I'll just simply stating this. If she was so good, then she wouldn't have a problem with a better environment being actually developed around her. But see, most people don't want a better environment. They want higher ranking in the current environment that they're in. That's actually what the problem is. They like their place where they are at now. So if you can merely look like you give a damn about black men by asking simplistic and stupid ass questions rather than go after the actual large grand majority of people in the environment causing the problems. Like I don't know why we keep being taken in by this type of stuff. No legislation, no live streams responding to those people, not really feeling the force of the heat from the actual people that you need to actually fight, but you expect full credit because the actual things that you are doing look like a grand amount of assistance to men versus what people are not doing. And this is why you actually change the entire paradigm itself. Because once you change the environment, and I mean for yourself, not for a group of people, individual change, not group change. Once you change that paradigm and get yourself better results, it's kind of hard to be sold on things that don't work. Once you be around actual cultured feminine women and you see that the actual people trying to scare you off from that type of stuff, talking about how all this stuff is spreading across the globe, like, dude, it's not spreading as fast as you think it is. It isn't. They only don't want you to actually engage, so that way you don't figure out that what they're saying is a lie. Oh yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. But this stuff should have happened 20, 30 years ago. If we would have had a track record of holding these people accountable, Renaissance man, 20, 30 years ago, we would have already cleaned out the force of those type of people. We would have already cleaned them out. Forcing police to actually testify under oath about things that happen, dude. For people who have special power, you have to replace it with something even more special, like grand jury indictments. Yeah, you can't turn down a grand jury indictment. You're gonna go in there without a lawyer and you're gonna be asked questions under oath. And if your ass is lying, they're gonna lock your ass up. Um no, it's men grandstanding. Like here's what game is. Because game equal for the woman's benefit, right? So if you listen to every guy who talks about game, they're actually trying to teach men ineffective methods of chasing women, therefore making men extremely predictable inside the type of environment. Don't believe me? Ask a woman. She's asked the same dumbass pickup lines all day long. She gets nothing but more and more choice. And once you get more and more choice of something that you don't respect, you start to hate the actual product itself. Especially when you got two generations of just endless oodles of men approaching you and you don't have to work towards anything. Look how the women look and look at their actual outcomes. They still run things. even beyond that. But what they're actually doing with game, sir, is they're actually pushing an environment where this sexual marketplace is so bad that they want to give women so many options to the point to where they actually qualify for getting sex. Because most of these dudes don't get sex either because of celebrities are being turned repeatedly rejected. And what Zero said yesterday, which was actually pretty true, is that celebrities are dipping into the normal, average-looking woman. Then who are all these dudes with game who are actually winning? If this is what's happening, Ramil did a show on an actual report that showed that that's a record number increase of porn being watched in the country, and you can see it on a sliding scale on a bar graph. Out front is some of the areas that have the ugliest women in the United States. I'm talking about, you know, highly conservative areas, Mississippi and West Virginia. They beat out everybody else. But that's what it is. So you have an environment that's actually shaped like that, where everybody is supposedly a 20% guy that the women choose, with 50% of the men not being married. But everybody's a Tyrone, though. Yeah, yeah, the numbers don't add up, man. And you got a lot of people who get the lion stunt come online and all that kind of other stuff. So that's what you got on that, man. That's why it was highly implausible for nameless and faceless people with nameless and faceless receipts to be claiming like they're good at this actual counterpart with the society. It didn't make any sense. And then they refused to even travel to other environments or even other countries to even see better options. That also didn't make any sense either. This is why you got to get individual results, man. Individual results from a system that you can build, and it's really not even that hard. When they don't have body game, man. When they don't have the body game that they're actually claiming that they actually are talking about. They want to listen to these 50-year-old fuck nigga hoop dreams, man. For real. You got other fuck niggas talking about, you know, how the gender war is over and stupid shit like that. While meanwhile, figuring out systems for you to deal with the same type of person so that way they can still have relevance within the environment. Crazy shit. It took a generation to be fed into this stuff. And now it's going to take two generations to leave this stuff alone. You got to give men better choice. Productive men need better choice. Better actual choice that's based on results and outcomes, not intentions. Because the intentions market is here. Look at Umar Johnson and all the stupid shit he's saying. Like, if it wasn't for an actual manosphere, the things that Umar Johnson said would actually fly right overhead with nobody even criticizing. Period. But now the climate is not such to where you can do things like that and actually get away with it. Now people get to see real time stupid things being said and stupid things being responded to. Now we get to respond. You remember how your mama black used to shut down conversations? Now you don't even hear anybody say anything like that unless they're not even associated or ever heard of the manosphere. That's how it is now. A lot of these bad arguments are leaving the table because of this space. And a lot of these people are getting this information even though their mothers and fathers don't even tell them about this information. That's the other thing that protects things too. Yeah, but we shut down the ability to have realistic conversations though. Because we're here to simply have the conversation, to have the conversation, to have the conversation and lead to no results. You have more people who wanted to have the conversations than people who actually want to fix problems. Because that's what happens when you have a situation like this. People actually come to the specific point to where having a conversation about a problem is considered progress. Thanks for the $10 super chat, Cincinnati Red. So it's like nobody wanted these problems to kind of go away, right? Because there will be a sunset on when we're going to stop talking about and dealing with a certain specific type of issue and topic. That's what happened here. There was more conversationalists, and no people wanted to do action. Hell, nobody even wanted to set down a proper foundation. And that's kind of how it works. That people don't see how easy these problems are to solve with one's own action. Yeah, you got to start solving these problems on your own, man. And once you start you got to want to be responsible for the outcome. You got to want to be responsible for it. And you got to want to build a world where these people's opinion don't matter. You have to want to do that. You got to want to be a fundamentalist for your own damn cause. You have to want that. And I'm not just saying wanting that for other people because you don't have any control over that. I'm talking about wanting it for yourself and actually working within that type of system to provide it for yourself. Because that's a hell of a lot better system when you see it through your own eyes and your own experiences rather than waiting and expecting a new system. We wasn't handed a good system. Now you have to develop your own. Then you have to develop that system, a newer paradigm, and hand it off to other people. A lot of people really think that at this point in time, we're actually going to come together. Failures want to come together now. Failures want to run the conversation. That's what failures want to do. They have nothing to offer. They don't want the environment to change. They don't want the leadership to change. They want all these problems to stay here so that way they can just get their stuff off inside the same environment. And most of these people at this point, they are older. They want to be the new mouthpieces of stuck people. They want to be the face of it. Dude, it's so easy to invest in your actual future right now, man. It's crazy. I'm about to look at a lot of land on my way from here to Seattle, cross country trip. It's kind of hard to explain the clarity of mind when you don't have to worry about baseline things, man. It is hard to explain to people that, but it's something that you have to witness. You see, the problem is that they want you so caught up into things that you don't need to be caught up in for their own survival that you'll never see it. They're purposefully putting you in a place to where you'll never see the happiness that they'll never witness. They're literally selling you a ticket to their own private hell. And you got to stop thinking that being surrounded by better people is going to make you take better actions. That's not the case. The actions is going to be individual no matter what you're surrounded by or when you're surrounded by. You don't need to be around Fortune 500 CEOs before you actually start investing in yourself. Hard work, you're right. Most people don't understand that the very solution that they require requires their destruction. That's the sad part of it, man. Like this whole great black outcome requires the people to be destroyed who are actually asking for it. They don't realize that they're never going to live to see what they actually want to benefit from because they're never going to work for it. Yeah, I think it's an addiction. No, it's just an abject refusal to live by better rules. Because see, they spent so much time, they're too invested in the wrong way to do things the right way all the time, man. They're too invested in the wrong way of doing things, and they don't want to change it. That's what that is, man. But these things are easy to fix, real easy. So before I get out of here and get back on the road, the 5 steps, man. The first thing you got to gather is skills and abilities. It's not hard to Google the 10 most needed to be filled jobs within your state, the 10 top paying jobs in each state, and looking at the process of how you can get in it. Don't tell me you ain't got enough time to invest. Trust me. If you got enough time to suffer the consequences, you got enough time to invest, man. You got enough time to invest. Trust me. No, I mean it's always the people who talk about the community hard work are the people who need to be left out of community. Period. Most people who are the stewards of the community-based conversation are most of the people who don't even deserve to even talk about it. They haven't held anybody responsible. They haven't shut down this baby making factory because you got to respect dudes hustle. I mean, it's just all types of other things, man. I don't even take them dudes seriously, to be quite honest with you. The true community is the successful individuals. The true community is not the actual people who want to benefit off everybody's work. Somehow we allow all these people to come in and hijack the word of community and actually what it meant to fit their own petty ends, man. You got people talking about code, but they can't even lay down minimum standards within an environment. This is why I just really don't like emails from women all that much. I just want to see. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, you want to sound reasonable? Where's your ratchet pelts? Show me your ratchet pelt count. Okay, you ain't got no ratchet pelts, but we talking about how down you are? Are you serious? No ratchet pelts, huh? None. Okay, but you down for the cause, and in order for me to bear your conversation, the only thing I got to do is act like you're actually making progress when you're not actually doing anything, but just trying to have a conversation to look decent. I'm a grown ass adult who believe in tangibles and results. I'm not mesmerized by emailing a woman over email. That shit means nothing to me. If you're not out here actively trying to change shit on the ground, that's how you actually do shit. Is you change shit on the ground. Don't tell me about how many broken kids that you're trying to help. I don't want to hear that shit either. People don't need help. You got to shut down the factory that creates the circumstances, not try to fix the symptoms of the circumstance once the circumstance is created. If you know smoking leads to all these health issues, you don't try to fix the health issues as they come up. You stop the activity that leads to the bad results. That's how you do it. But a lot of people want to take this life as shortcuts without focusing on one or two singular things so that way they can be able to have a good result. You are 100% correct. 100% correct. Every time I hear that shit come out of somebody's mouth, I'm like, hey man, I ain't putting no business around this person. Because remember, if you can practice blackmail sociopathy and actually think about shit like this, then it don't matter. It don't matter. Now I don't respect that shit at all, man. I respect the dude's ability to produce without needing to hustle people. Like that type of stuff I do respect. I respect the hell out of that stuff, man. Man, I respect that. Dude, when I go see like a black architect, even though I had nothing to do with it, I'm proud of that. A dude did it the right way, owned his own shopping firm, all these contracts and shit. That's the type of stuff you need to have pride in, man. But entertainment, sports, not so much. What's going on, Ike? What's going on, Mike B? Because a lot of these people don't know what realistic help and assistance actually look like. They don't know what um, working toward real progress actually looks like because they never actually been on the path of working toward progress. Because the first thing about this progress thing is what does the end goal look like? And who's going to be at the finish line? This is where you got to set minimum standards and timelines. Because once you set minimum timeline standards and results, everything actually works right. Everything works right. Once you have an end goal, and you can be able to see the end goal and where you're actually going. Video, and y'all have a really nice day, man. These things are very easy to solve. They're very easy to solve. It's very simple. You just got to be able to focus and draw your focus to a couple of things. Your mind can't be all over the place, man. The mind all over the place thing goes from people who's trying to grift and benefit off the environment itself. It doesn't really work for people who are actually working toward tangibles. All right, thanks so much. You have a nice one.